12. Additional information about you. And so this is again the person applying for naturalization. And so this is where we start getting into questions of good moral character. And so one of the requirements is that you have what's called good moral character under the statutory period, and really good moral character in general. What the officer is trying to determine, the adjudicating officer is trying to determine, is whether you are someone that should be a U.S. citizen. And so things like, have you ever done any crimes? Have you ever lied to the U.S. government about anything? Or you've defrauded in any fashion? Or you've done something that you should have? These are the, or you know, maybe you're a member of an organization outside of the U.S. which it really stands against kind of what the United States and our Constitution stands for. These are the things that they're trying to get out here, or at the very least, they're trying to get an admission or a lack thereof from you that there's nothing like that going on. And so 1 through 21, the answer to almost all these questions will be a no, unless there's something going on. So have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen? This should be a no if you are, if you're applying for citizenship. Have you ever registered to vote in a federal, state, or local election in the United States? Again, this should be a no, because you need to be a U.S. citizen to register or to vote, which is the next section. So, which is the next item, item 3. Have you ever voted? So, again, this should be a no unless there's an issue. Almost all of these are no. That being said, if there's a problem, you don't want to lie to the U.S. government. And so, item 4, do you have or did you ever have a hereditary title? And so, some people are sirs or noblemen or what have you, or princes and what have you, and one of the conditions for becoming a U.S. citizen is what's called attachment to the Constitution. And so one of the things in the oath of allegiance that you take when you go to take your oath and receive your naturalization certificate is that you renounce or you give up any foreign titles, meaning that your allegiance is only to the United States now, nobody else. So in front of the U.S., it doesn't matter what you were before. So now you're a U.S. citizen. So if in times of war or if there's a need that the United States has, you can come to the rescue, and also make sure you pay your taxes. So those are the two main considerations. Can they count on you in times of war, and will you pay your taxes? Will you pay your dues? And so. Again, on 4A, the answer is typically no. Have you ever been declared legally incompetent or been confined to a mental institution? And so, if there's a mental issue, then you cannot. In many ways, you cannot do this. You cannot enter into a contract with the United States, if you will, and you're not. Basically, you don't know what you're doing. They're saying, and so therefore, that will bring into question your ability to receive a citizenship. Do you owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes? This goes back to good moral character, and so the answer should be no. So item 6 here, some people will have a certain engagement or a certain plan to pay back their taxes. That doesn't mean that your taxes are overdue, and so. Item 7A, have you ever not filed a federal, state, or local tax since you became a lawful permanent resident? If the answer is yes, then it's yes. Here, note that if you made under the poverty guidelines, which is typically, it changes every year, but let's say it's 12,000. If you made that amount or lower, you're typically not required to file taxes. So that's one of the reasons why people might not need to file taxes. That being said, if you didn't file for some other reason, that could come up. Okay, so and if you say yes, did you consider yourself to be a non-U.S. citizen? And so if you consider yourself to be a non-U.S. citizen, in this case, really what a lot of times people will do is they'll consider themselves a non-U.S. citizen, and whether knowingly or unknowingly, they get taken out less taxes. And so here they're trying to determine, did you try to do something in tax documents and pay less tax, or attempted to pay less tax? Again, it goes back to your moral character, your good moral character. Item 8, have you called yourself a non-U.S. resident on a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? And so, a non-U.S. resident, again, if you're a non-U.S. resident, that means that you wouldn't be paying the amount of tax that you need to be paying. And so again, it goes back to your good moral character, and you could be denied because of it. Have you ever been a member of, involved in, or in any way associated with any... Oh, and one more point on 8 here while we're there. If you have, then you need to go back and amend your taxes. You need to go back and fix your taxes, and you might have to pay some. But yeah, because otherwise it's going to be a hassle, and they're gonna bring up issues. The adjudicating officer is going to bring up issues, and most likely he might deny you. He might reject you. So that's that on the tax portion, tax item. So item 9: have you ever been a member of, involved in, or associated with any party, fund, foundation, or similar group in the U.S. or outside? And so this could be a yes. And so, but typically here, the type of groups that they're looking for is, okay, if you were in any groups, like for example, you might have been part of, let's say, a communist party, right? And so a communist party goes against the grain of what the United States stands for, right? So the United States stands for capitalism, if you will, right? So then when you declare that and they put that down here, they might have some questions about that. Now that's not to say that they will deny you on it, but it is something that comes up, and so and it needs to be addressed. And so if you answered yes, and you need more space, you can describe kind of what you're a member of and say that you have no more ties to the group, and you're done. So item 10: have you ever been a member of, or any way associated with, again, so there it is, the Communist Party, totalitarian party, or terrorist organization? And so here they're trying to get a sense of what kind of person are you, and is your allegiance somewhere else, and do you stand against what the U.S. stands for? 11, have you ever advocated the overthrow of any government by force or violence? In other words, are you an anarchist? Are you someone that is going to cause problems in the U.S.? 12, have you ever persecuted or anyone on the basis of race, religion, national origin, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion? So if you're a prosecutor, if you prosecuted someone, any person because of any of these items, that's problematic. Between March 33 and 45, did you work with the Nazi government or any government associated with or helping Nazi Germany? And any other kind of self-defense, vigilante unit, citizenship unit, and what have you. So the answer will be no for the vast majority of people, just because it was such a long time ago, but it could come up. 14, were you ever involved in any way with any of the following: genocide, torture, killing, badly hurting, so things of that nature? These should be no for almost all people here. So 15, were you ever a member of, or did you ever serve in any following groups, like the military unit, paramilitary unit, police, self-defense, vigilante, rebel group, guerrilla, militia, or insurgent organization? And so a lot of these questions overlap, by the way. So they're trying to make an airtight case that no, you were not involved in these groups, or if you're at least you're denying that, and then if it comes up later, really they can deny you citizenship. Or, they can come back and revoke your citizenship. Although that's much harder to do, but they could, theoretically. So, 16, were you ever a worker, volunteer, or soldier? Or did you otherwise ever do any of the following? So, were you in prison, or prison camp, or detention facility, labor camp, any of those things? Again, similar, maybe you were not on the policing side, but you were just a worker in one of these camps. And so, or or prison. Were you ever a part of a group that used weapons against any other person or threatened, right? So this could be a gang, or this could be, you know, different things like that. So they're trying to pull out that kind of information from you. 18, did you ever sell or provide weapons, right? Give or provide weapons to any person. Or help another person sell. 19, did you ever receive any kind of weapons or military training? 20, did you ever recruit, enlist, and whatnot, people that are under the age of 15 to serve or help in the armed forces? This has a lot to do with you know, children soldiers, especially in Africa. There's some there are some countries in Africa where this takes place a fair amount. 21, did you ever use any person under 15 years of age to do anything that helped or supported people in combat? That's in the US, that's against the law. And we'll stop here for questions 1 through 21, and we'll continue with 23 through 28 next.